5,000 years ago, a group of people dragged 80 stones across 180 miles of hills, rivers, and open sea, some of them weighing as much as 10 elephants, to build a monument in the middle of an empty field. They had no wheels, no metal tools, no writing, and to this day, nobody can fully agree on why they did it. This is Stonehenge, and the mystery isn't just how they built it. It's what they were trying to reach. Every year, on the same June morning, the sun rises and threads itself perfectly between two stones that are 4,500 years old. Whoever built this place knew exactly what they were doing. What we don't know, even now, is why they needed to know it so badly that they spent centuries and an unimaginable amount of human effort, making sure it would never be forgotten. Long before there was a single stone on Salisbury Plain, there was wood. Around 800 BC, 3,000 years before the first stone was ever raised, hunter-gatherers stood on this same empty grassland and planted enormous pine posts into the earth, each one as thick as a small tree trunk. We don't know what they meant. There were no walls, no roofs, no signs of daily life around them. Just posts, standing alone in open country, for reasons already lost by the time farming reached Britain thousands of years later. By 3500 BC, the plain was no longer empty. Early farmers built a massive earthwork nearby called the cursus, a rectangular enclosure almost 2 miles long, its true purpose still debated. And around 3000 BC, the first version of Stonehenge finally appeared. Not stone at all, but a circular ditch and bank, enclosing a ring of 56 pits we now call the Aubrey holes. Inside some of those pits, archaeologists found something unexpected: cremated human remains. Before Stonehenge was a monument to the sky, it may have been a monument to the dead. For several centuries, that's all it was: earth, timber posts, and the ashes of the departed. And then, around 2900 BC, something changed. Someone decided this place needed stone. Not local stone, stone from 180 miles away. In the Preseli Hills of southwest Wales, there are outcrops of a bluish-gray rock unlike anything on Salisbury Plain. Geologists have matched the chemical fingerprint of Stonehenge's smaller stones, the Bluestones, to these exact hills, down to specific quarry sites. Which means someone on Salisbury Plain knew, with total certainty, that this particular rock from this particular mountain was the only one that would do. How they moved it is still argued over today. The stones weigh up to 4 tons each. Not impossible for human strength and clever engineering, but staggeringly difficult across 180 miles of Bronze Age Britain. One theory says they were dragged the entire way on wooden sledges and rollers, using ropes woven from plant fiber, teams of dozens hauling each stone a few miles a day. Another theory says at least part of the journey used water, rafts or dugout canoes floating the stones down rivers and along the coast, cutting the impossibly hard overland sections down to a fraction of the total distance. Either way, the logistics are almost beyond belief. Finding the route, feeding the workforce, replacing the ropes that snapped and the rollers that split for what may have been years just to bring a boulder to a field. And they didn't bring one. They brought roughly 80 of them. Think about what that decision actually required. Someone had to travel to Wales first, alone or in a small group, to identify the right outcrop among thousands of ordinary rocks. Then a much larger group had to return, prepared to spend months, perhaps years, of their lives moving stone. They needed food for that entire journey. In a world with no granaries stocked for travelers, no roads, no maps except the ones held in memory. Every broken roller had to be replaced from the nearest forest. Every worn-through rope had to be rewoven by hand. River crossings meant either fording with the stone lashed to a raft or dismantling and rebuilding the sledge track from scratch on the far bank. A single bluestone likely took a full growing season or more to complete its journey, which means the entire project for 80 stones may have spanned not months, but generations. Children who watched the first stones arrive may have been elders by the time the Bluestone Circle was finally complete. When the first bluestones finally reached Salisbury Plain, they were raised in a circle, the earliest true stone structure at the site. For a culture without writing, without metal tools stronger than antler and stone, this represented a staggering share of a community's entire physical labor. Whatever waited at the end of that 180 miles, it had to be worth this. But the story of Stonehenge was still only half built. Around 2500 BC, the builders turned to something even more ambitious. 20 miles north of the site, on the Marlborough Downs, lie fields scattered with massive sandstone boulders called sarsens, the hardest stone in the region. The largest sarsens at Stonehenge weigh up to 25 tons. To put that in perspective, that is heavier than a fully loaded articulated truck moved without wheels, without draft animals strong enough for the job, across 20 miles of hills using only timber, rope, and human muscle. Modern experiments have shown it's possible. Teams pulling sledges over greased wooden rails, using earthen ramps to raise the stones upright, and timber A-frames as levers to lift the horizontal lintels into place on top. But possible is not the same as easy. Raising a single 25-ton stone upright and locking it into a socket without it toppling and crushing the workforce required extraordinary coordination. Coordination between people who, as far as we know, had no central government, no army, and no written instructions to pass down. And the precision is what makes it stranger still. The sarsen stones weren't just stacked. Each standing stone was shaped with a raised knob on top, a mortise that fit precisely into a hollow carved into the underside of the lintel above it, a tenon joint, the same woodworking technique used in timber buildings, translated into 25 tons of solid rock. These builders were treating stone like carpentry. Just 2 miles from Stonehenge, archaeologists found the answer to a question nobody had thought to ask. Where did the builders actually live? Durrington Walls turned out to be a massive settlement. Dozens of small timber houses, hearths still holding ash, and an almost unbelievable quantity of animal bone. Pig bones, specifically from animals slaughtered at a very particular age, again and again, consistent with enormous feasts held at the same time each year, most likely midwinter. Chemical analysis of those pig teeth revealed something remarkable. The animals hadn't just come from nearby farms. Some had been raised as far away as Scotland, then walked or driven hundreds of miles to be eaten at Durrington Walls. Whatever happened at Stonehenge wasn't a local affair. People were traveling from across the entire island of Britain to take part. And Durrington Walls kept one more secret, hidden for thousands of years and only found in 2020. Using ground-penetrating radar and soil coring, archaeologists discovered a massive ring of enormous pits. More than 20 of them, some over 10 meters wide and 5 meters deep, arranged in a circle over 1.5 miles across, completely surrounding both Durrington Walls and a smaller nearby henge. It is, as far as we can tell, the largest prehistoric structure ever found in Britain, dug entirely by hand, and archaeologists still aren't certain exactly what it marked or why its scale so dramatically exceeds anything else built at the same time. Even now, in the 21st century, this landscape is still handing us discoveries we don't fully understand. So what exactly were they taking part in? For centuries, the working theory was simple. Stonehenge is a solar calendar, an astronomical instrument built to track the turning of the year. And there is real evidence for this. The entire monument is aligned along a single axis. The rising sun on the summer solstice enters through the entrance and travels down the center of the stone circle, while on the opposite side, The same axis marks the setting sun of the winter solstice. This is not an accident of 80 separate stone placements. It is a single, deliberate design decision, encoded in stone, meant to be checked and confirmed every single year, forever. The precision goes further than most people realize. The builders weren't just marking 2 days a year. They were encoding an entire calendar system into the geometry of the stones, one that some researchers believe may track a full 365.25-day solar year, refined and rebuilt across centuries as the builders' understanding of the sky improved. To achieve that kind of accuracy without instruments, without writing, using nothing but sight lines, patience, and generations of careful observation passed down by word of mouth, is its own kind of engineering, arguably harder than moving the stones themselves. But an astronomical calendar doesn't fully explain the cremated remains, or the years spent hauling bluestones from a mountain in Wales when perfectly good stone sat 20 miles away. So other theories emerged. One, proposed by the archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson, suggests Stonehenge and Durrington Walls were two halves of a single idea, a domain of the living built in wood that decayed and rotted with time, and a domain of the dead built in permanent stone, connected by the river Avon and a ceremonial avenue between them. In this theory, the solstice-aligned stone circle wasn't primarily about farming seasons at all. It was about crossing from the world of the living into the realm of ancestors, at the one moment each year when the sun itself seemed to make the same journey. Another theory, championed by archaeologists Geoffrey Wainwright and Timothy Darvill, points back to those Welsh bluestones and their specific source, a site associated, in local folklore recorded centuries later, with healing springs. Their theory, Stonehenge may have functioned as a prehistoric place of healing. Its stones carried from Wales specifically because people believed that particular rock held curative power, drawing the sick and injured from across Britain the way later cultures traveled to sacred wells. And there is a simpler, quieter theory underneath all of them, that whatever the precise ritual, Stonehenge's true purpose was unification itself. A monument so difficult to build that constructing it required communities from across Britain to cooperate, travel, and gather in one place, again and again, for generations. The building of it may have mattered as much as any ceremony performed afterward. The truth is, these theories are not mutually exclusive. A calendar, a gateway to the ancestors, a place of healing, a gathering ground for a fractured island. Stonehenge may have been all of them at once, its meaning shifting across the centuries it remained in use. We even know something about who came here. In 2002, archaeologists excavating near Stonehenge uncovered the grave of a man now called the Amesbury Archer, buried around 2300 BC with an extraordinary wealth of possessions, gold ornaments, copper knives, dozens of flint arrowheads, among the richest Bronze Age burials ever found in Britain. He was buried with such unusual care and such rare grave goods that some archaeologists have wondered whether he held a special status connected to the monument itself. Perhaps even one of the people who understood how the stones were sourced and raised. Chemical analysis of his teeth revealed he hadn't grown up anywhere near Salisbury Plain. He had grown up in the Alps, somewhere in a region of modern Switzerland or Germany, and traveled hundreds of miles to end his life beside this monument. Whatever Stonehenge represented, its reputation had crossed the sea. But nothing lasts forever, not even 500 years of continuous use. By around 1600 BC, the great age of construction at Stonehenge had ended. The Bronze Age was giving way to new ways of living, new patterns of settlement, new beliefs we can only partially reconstruct. Activity at the site didn't stop overnight, but it slowed generation by generation until the rituals that once drew travelers from the Alps and cattle drovers from Scotland simply stopped happening. The stones remained. The reasons for them didn't. For nearly 3,000 years afterward, Stonehenge stood in a landscape that had moved on without it. A monument whose builders left no names, no written explanation, nothing but the stones themselves, slowly leaning, slowly falling, grazed around by sheep. When people finally began asking serious questions again, they got the answer badly wrong. In the 17th century, the antiquarian John Aubrey first proposed that Stonehenge had been built by the ancient Druids, the priestly class of Iron Age Celtic Britain. A century later, William Stukeley expanded the idea into something close to a religion of its own, and by the 18th century, the image was fixed in the public imagination. White-robed Druids performing solstice ceremonies among stones they themselves had supposedly raised. There was just one problem. Modern dating proves Stonehenge was already 2,000 years old by the time the Druids appeared in Britain, a gap roughly as long as the one separating us from the Roman Empire. The Druids didn't build Stonehenge. They inherited it already ancient and already mysterious, exactly as we did. And yet the association never fully died. Today, on the summer solstice, thousands of people still gather at Stonehenge at dawn. Pagans, Druids of modern revival movements, and the simply curious to watch the sun rise exactly where it has risen every June for 4,500 years, through the same gap between the same stones. We know more about Stonehenge today than any generation before us. We can date the stones, trace their origin to specific quarries, reconstruct the diet of the people who built it, even identify travelers who crossed a continent to reach it. Laser scanning has revealed faint carvings on the stones themselves, bronze axe heads and daggers. Chipped into the surface long after the monument was built, additions from later visitors who felt compelled to leave their own mark on something already ancient in their time. Every new technology we point at this field seems to find one more layer we hadn't noticed. And still, the central question remains open. What precisely did they believe was happening here on the morning the sun found its way home between the stones? Maybe that's the part of the mystery they intended to keep. A monument built to outlast its builders by 5,000 years and counting. Designed so that whoever stood here after them, whoever we turn out to be, would still feel the pull of something we couldn't quite name and would still come back every summer to watch the light arrive exactly on time.